Hello once again, players of good video games. My name is Nick Pell and this is my review of Agents of Mayhem. This game is set in the universe of Saints Row, having played just the fourth one and really loving it and enjoying it. I was very excited to touch this title because it's not a direct sequel of any means or any sort. It is more of a spin-off title. It's essentially what Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is to the Avengers. Saints Row 4, you got superpowers. Agents of Mayhem are kind of like the people who go around saving the world from Earth-threatening threats which the Avengers couldn't handle, or the superhero people that are assumably still in the Saints Row universe aren't going to tackle. But does Agents of Mayhem still have the fun factor which Saints Row 4 did have and contain all that excitement? Let's find out. Now, if you've seen enough of my video game reviews, you'll know that the one thing that I really focus on and really hope for in a video game is a good, solid, developed story. Agents of Mayhem, unfortunately, does not really have that, as far as I could tell during my brief time playing it. The story, more or less, is that we have this evil oppressor who's trying to take over the world, and he has his 4 or 5 henchmen who are his lieutenants, and you basically have to take down all of his lieutenants in order to get to him and save the day. And there are different missions that you go on, and it's very simplistic as far as I could tell. And there's just not a lot of depth to it. It's very generic, evil, bad guy type of stuff, which you've seen numerous times before. The game takes place in Seoul, South Korea, which is a very cool idea of a video game. It's one of the first that I've seen personally in a long time, which doesn't have a Western setting like Los Angeles or New York or some sort of Western setting for where this big superhero or agents alliance is set. The city of Seoul is very bright, colorful, and it does have a lot of people walking around the area. It could have felt a little more lifelike for my personal preference, but for what it does pretty well in making the city feel very large and expansive and feel like you have a lot to do. The agents themselves also look very unique in regards to their character models, and I really like the fact that it wasn't just a bunch of different, more or less the same people going into this type of situation. The gameplay, though, is where I am the most divided, honestly, because while I did end up having a genuinely fun time while I did play Agents of Mayhem, the fact is that the gameplay does suffer quite a lot, in my opinion. One of your main ways of getting from place to place early on in the story is driving, and the driving mechanics really aren't that exciting, and really aren't that fun to deal with play-wise anyway. When the car is going at high speeds, it just has kind of a mind-numbing noise the whole time. It doesn't really have any fun excitement. There is a talking car component to it, where you have this British voice talking to you, and there are funny quips here and there throughout the game, but it doesn't really make the driving aspect any more fun per se. And when you have to take down cars on the road through combat, it can be kind of frustrating when you have to drift really quickly, and it just doesn't really work that effectively. There is a ton of stuff to do throughout this game. It is an open world game after a certain point, and you can essentially take a lot of the game and just go around completing side objectives, which will build up your base, build up your character stats, and gain new levels, as well as unlocking new agents for you to use in the field. The idea of unlocking new agents is probably the most unique and surprising aspect of this game, which I really did enjoy. They each have their own little side story, which you get to play through as an introduction to their characters and how they will behave and how they use different weapons and different guns and things of that sort. And they all feel very unique, at least the couple that I did play through. One of the more frustrating aspects of Agents of Mayhem, though, is the fact that there aren't really, as far as I can tell, again, I didn't get that terribly far into the game, but from what I could tell, there aren't any sort of weapon upgrades, so you are forced to use the same weapon throughout the course of the game, and it doesn't make the enemies that much easier. You do level up, you get stronger and whatnot as you go, and you can adjust the difficulty level to your preference if you want to at a risk of decreasing experience and money. But it would have been nice to see some sort of weapon customization within the game itself. Also, when you go on missions and you have a plethora of different agents to choose from after a point, not every agent ends up with the experience from that mission. The 3 that you end up using, regardless of if they die or not, they all still get the experience which you would have gotten throughout the course of the mission. But any agents which are left behind at the base, they don't get any sort of experience, and so it's very easy to max out certain characters or just get them super strong while other characters suffer and stay at the lower levels and basically become unusable unless you want to grind them for levels. This is also kind of a small thing, but it did bug me quite a bit. There are certain parts of missions where you have to destroy different aspects of an enemy's base, and that's all well and good, but as you're taking out enemies which are trying to stop you from destroying parts of the base, the enemies themselves continue to respawn, and it's not like there's a select set amount of enemies which you have to take down and then you're free to destroy the base as you see fit. That would have been kind of a nice little change, I think, and would have made it a lot more accessible, because when you consistently keep getting enemies thrown at you, it does become more frustrating, especially because they become more and more strong. Overall, it does seem like I am hating on this game quite a bit, but I did find myself enjoying it by the end of my time renting this game. The fact that it has a ton to do is actually quite fun and just really wraps you up into the world, especially if you're someone who likes to complete and collect as much things as possible. It does have a lot of those aspects for you, but there are just a lot of things which I feel like would eventually become very, very frustrating after a time, especially with the simple story, which doesn't really do a whole lot and isn't really that compelling to continue with, along with the boring driving and the fact that you can't upgrade your weapons or ultimately upgrade any of your heroes which are stationed at your base. So if you go into this game thinking that it's going to be very similar to Saints Row 4, it's not going to be, and I think you'll be a little bit disappointed in that aspect. If you would consider it to be a very watered down, toned down version of that game, then you might have a little bit more fun with it than I did. And this isn't a game that I hated whatsoever, and I think that I could see myself buying this when it goes on sale for like 20 bucks at some point. Then I might pick it up again and try to replay it. But for what it is, as of now, it's not really something that which I see myself spending a lot of time with, especially considering the plethora of games which are just on my doorstep waiting to be played soon. So guys, those are my thoughts on Agents of Mayhem. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Did you like it as much as I did? Did you hate it more than I did? Let me know. Like, favorite, comment, and subscribe once again if you so choose. I appreciate it immensely. And as always, my people, my name is Nick Pell. And once again, keep on gaming.
That wall just went away!
No way I'm gonna catch that dynamo moving this slow. Fortune, see what you can do.
On it! Oh yeah, much better. I ain't dying because of Hollywood's fuck-up. Get in here, pretty boy.
Wait, what? Why me?
Cause you broke the bear, that's why.
Hey there, boss!
Why?